Welcome to Delaware Wonder. How can I help you?
Delaware Wonder is an employment and training pilot that stands for Work Opportunity Network to develop employment readiness. Our primary mission is to make sure that participants are free of any barriers such as transportation, mental health, substance abuse, domestic violence, housing, in order to participate in the program. They would have to be a SNAP recipient and need food benefits. Track 1 is our construction track. We have participants who go through a 4-week training. They learn construction and interviewing skills.
Delaware Wonder helped me prepare for job interviews. They helped me become more familiar with electrical tools and hand tools. Started off doing demolition. Then I became a pre-apprentice. I took the test to become an apprentice. Now I am a union carpenter.
Track 2 is our culinary track, and that is through the Food Bank of Delaware. It's a 12-week program that our participants go through. They get internships and subsequently job placement in restaurants, hotels, anything related to culinary.
Que estaba totalmente desempleada y necesitaba urgentemente un trabajo.
She said she was unemployed and she was in need of a job. When she finished the 14 weeks training in Food Bank, then she went to Christiana Hospital to outbound pain for training, and then at the end they decided to hire her. She said that she liked the job, she's very happy there. When she came here, she knocked many doors, but Delaware Wonder was the one that provided her the opportunity.
The third track is our manufacturing track. Our main partner for that track is Kraft Heinz, which is located in the southern part of Delaware.
I was at Delaware Tech doing all the computer classes. I put a lot of time and effort in it. After I completed the program, I got connected with Kraft. I'm grateful for the program. I see myself staying there and moving up, becoming qualified on different jobs, just going day by day and see where it gets me.
Track 4, soon to be called Wonder Works, is our broad-based training and employment track. We do workshops, we do resume writing, interviewing skills, and we do placement for any other track other than 1 through 3. From a job placement perspective, we have about an 88% placement rate through our broad-based tracks.
Everybody deserves a shot. There's talent out there that we might not find elsewhere. And we don't want to miss someone that might have a lot of talent and miss out on having someone that's a good worker.
If we can combat those barriers that some of our participants have, and we can eliminate those, or if we can lessen those barriers, then what we are finding is that they end up in long-term careers and subsequently become self-sufficient, and they no longer need food benefits. And that's the goal of the program.
Astronauts named to the first commercial crew flights, using Earth science data to benefit society, and California wildfires seen from space. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA. The next astronauts to launch from American soil were announced on August 3rd at our Johnson Space Center in Houston, with assignments for the first flight tests and missions on American-made commercial spacecraft flying to and from the International Space Station. Our Eric Bowe and Nicole Mann will join Boeing astronaut Chris Ferguson on the first test of the company's CST-100 Starliner. Meanwhile, our Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken are scheduled to fly aboard the SpaceX Crew Dragon. Spaceflight veterans Sonny Williams and Mike Hopkins and first-time flyers Victor Glover and Josh Cassada were named to fly on later missions on the commercial spacecraft. Our administrator Jim Bridenstine was on hand for the event.
For the first time since 2011, we are on the brink of launching American astronauts on American rockets from American soil.
For more details on the commercial crew astronauts, spacecraft, and missions, go to nasa.gov/commercial crew. Administrator Bridenstine also got a first-hand look at some future spaceflight hardware and participated in a media roundtable with Johnson Center Director Mark Geyer during the visit to Houston. Earlier in the week, he visited our Langley Research Center in Hampton, Virginia, where he met with employees and saw the work being done in Langley's hangar, the National Transonic Facility Wind Tunnel, the Structures and Materials Lab, and the new Katherine G. Johnson Computational Research Facility.
So, great projects.
On August 1st at our headquarters, young research professionals discussed results of more than 20 projects that used NASA Earth satellite data to address real-world issues, from flooding in New Orleans to coffee cultivation in Guatemala to wildfires in Alaska. The talks and poster sessions were part of the annual Earth Science Applications Showcase, hosted by a national NASA program designed to extend research results to local communities. Multiple wildfires burning in California, many of them threatening life and property, were seen from space. This natural color satellite image captured on July 29th by our Aqua satellite shows areas actively burning at the time outlined in red, and the smoke that could be seen shrouding the state and sweeping as far eastward as Salt Lake City. That's what's up this week at NASA. For more on these and other stories, follow us on the web at nasa.gov/twan.
Rising coastal waters, flooding, extreme storm surges are all hot topics these days in Delaware. But what do these terms mean for our state's iconic salt marshes? Will they survive? Will they continue to protect us? Or will they drown and wash away? The answer, maybe, but maybe not. Salt marshes are tough. They have a couple of options up their sleeve, and one of them relies on their ability to get higher, to increase their elevation, also known as accretion. When daily tides move in and out of the salt marsh, plants and small animals create tiny traps that slow down the flow of water and allow sediment to fall out of the water column and be trapped. These fresh sediments not only create food for our plants, but they also slowly build up the marsh surface, allowing it to get higher to stay above rising tides. If sea levels rise too fast, our marshes can't keep up, which results in a drowning marsh and are leaving our shores and coasts unprotected from storms and erosion.
I remember a lifetime ago when we started this journey. We were inspired by each other to create something greater than ourselves and achieve so much together. A place to feel alive, to discover who we are, and ensure what always was will always be. Those days when we walked softly and honored our past, when he saved a nation and they saved the world. When he stood for this and she sat for that. When she captured our hearts and he captured our souls. When we were divided.
United 93, do you still hear Cleveland?
And we were united. He lifted our spirits. We aimed higher and never stopped looking up. But along the way, my roads grew old. My bridges shouldered years of weight. My trails became well-traveled. But my roots grow deeper. My branches extend further. I was there for them, and I'll be there for you. Will you be there for me?
Boston Harbor Cleanup represents one of the largest public works projects ever undertaken in New England. Once considered the dirtiest harbor in America, today it's recognized as one of America's greatest environmental achievements.
When we started the harbor cleanup, this water was so filthy that no one wanted to be down here. People in Boston didn't seem to care that much about it. They just accepted it. That was what the harbor was supposed to be like.
For generations, we've been cut off from the harbor. In essence, the harbor was surrounded by brownfields and abandoned parking lots, was polluted to the point where it was not just unsafe, but it was fairly unpleasant.
By the mid-1980s, Boston Harbor had become the dirtiest harbor in the United States. For more than a century, the daily waste from Boston and 43 surrounding communities went virtually untreated before being dumped into the harbor. Finally, in 1985, EPA joined the Conservation Law Foundation, the City of Quincy, and the town of Winthrop in a federal lawsuit seeking compliance with the Clean Water Act. EPA was then charged by the court to cooperate in and ensure the expeditious design, funding, and construction of the necessary facilities to clean up Boston Harbor. The court ordered the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to transfer responsibility for sewage management to the Massachusetts Water Resources Authority, the MWRA.
When the authority was created, they inherited an antiquated, rundown, ineffective sewer system from a state agency that had been neglected for many years.
The project involved hundreds of individual construction projects, and every one of those had its own complications. And just knowing that there were that many people out there working on this project was just a great feeling. It wasn't anymore that EPA was in this alone. We actually had thousands of people working to clean up the harbor.
Many obstacles threatened to stall the project. The massive plant cost billions of dollars, and ratepayers protested their increasing sewer bills. Citizens worried the discharge outfall was still too close to Boston, while others argued it was too close to the Cape and might impact marine life.
As soon as the sludge stopped being dumped, you could almost see the difference in terms of water clarity.
The harbor restoration didn't end with the building of the Deer Island treatment plant. Since 2005, the EPA has stayed involved, and the MWRA has tackled projects to eliminate the combined sewer overflows that occur during rainstorms.
We're seeing the return of a lot of sensitive marine species to areas of the harbor that at one time was considered some of the most contaminated spots. Now we see everything from small fish, sticklebacks, to large predators like sand tiger sharks, and just about everything in between. So it's just a wonderful story of recovery and hope.
I mean, I joke sometimes that the most popular bird here is really the crane, because every place you turn on the waterfront, you're seeing so many cranes building new buildings. People want to be on the waterfront, and it's because it's clean. It has become the engine for economic development. And we're all of a sudden getting this critical mass of mixes of residential, commercial uses, cultural institutions, all coming to the waterfront. You know, 15, 20 years ago, you never would have been able to attract that caliber of firms or retail uses. You know, it has cost us many billions of dollars as ratepayers, but in return, we have had a renaissance of this waterfront, and the development that we have seen is unprecedented.
The incredible thing about it is that we succeeded, and the water is clean, and if we can clean up Boston Harbor, we can clean up anything.
I think that our generation will be looked at as the visionaries by our children and our grandchildren's generations, who will say, you know, they paid a heavy price in terms of cleaning up this harbor, but my goodness, what they have left for our generation.
My ultimate goal in life was to go to medical school and become a doctor.
I've always wanted to do something that would benefit society.
I wanted to be a doctor no matter what.
My name is CTI-1 Michael Smith, and I'm from Cheyenne, Wyoming.
I'm Hospital Corpsman, 2nd class, Hanyuan Liu, and I'm originally from Honolulu, Hawaii.
So I'm machinist, mate, nuclear trained, 1st class, young, and I'm from Portland, Oregon.
The Enlisted Medical Degree Preparatory Program is a 2-year post-bac pre-medical program that's sponsored by the Uniformed Services University, and they're partnered with George Mason University. And it allows select enlisted personnel who already have their undergraduate degrees to come to George Mason University full-time.
It basically prepares you to take the MCAT by having you attend the prerequisite courses, the basic sciences. You take the MCAT and you go on to apply to medical school, and hopefully you get in.
In my opinion, I think that EMDP2 really does a good job at putting us through a very rigorous schedule of coursework, because we are going to school full-time, fall, spring, summer, and throw MCAT prep in there as well. And these classes are not easy. The Navy in this program has been incredibly supportive.
The command has given us so much flexibility in terms of time and resources to kind of accomplish our goals. And from the staff at GMU, they've given us guidance, almost any resource we need.
I will be attending Uniformed Services University's F. Edward A. Bear School of Medicine. This was my first choice medical school, and I'm really, really excited and honored to have been selected to come here.
So I chose to attend USUS because I figured if I'm gonna practice as a military medical doctor, I might as well learn from the military medical university. They're geared towards military medicine. That's why I made my choice.
I will be attending the Uniformed Services University of Health Sciences, and that's, again, kind of helped to support my family.
Being prior enlisted going into commissioning, I feel prepared. I feel like my time in the enlisted service has really given me an understanding of, just what it means to be in the military and in the Navy in general.
Going from enlisted to officer, I feel a lot more prepared than if I hadn't done this program, but I'm extremely excited for this transition that I'm about to take.
I think it's a really great experience having been enlisted and now transitioning to the medical corps, because I'm hoping it will make me a more understanding, a more empathetic, well-rounded doctor.
I think for sailors interested in this program, if they meet the requirements, definitely just apply. You have nothing to lose.
This program sets you up so well to be competitive, to apply to any med school. If you don't want to go to the Uniformed Services University, you can go to other schools. This program sets you up.
Just go for it, because you never really know what they're looking for exactly in the next cohort. And so regardless of what your rate is, you don't have to be a corpsman. If you want to go to medical school and you want to do it through this program, apply.
My name is Lindsay Karen, and I'm an artist, and I'm an adventurer and a traveler, and I'm up here this summer working with both Yukon Flats and Togiak National Wildlife Refuges. So the project has become about wilderness and about the ethics of the land and how it's so important to protect these public lands for years and years to come. The public lands that we have up in Alaska are so precious, and to work with National Wildlife Refuges is, first of all, like, what a privilege to be brought into these pristine places, and I'm so grateful for these opportunities. One of the things that I have absolutely loved and learned about my travels is there's a lot of connection in portraiture, getting to know people through portraits and just being with them as well, and asking questions and listening to their stories, and it continues to provide just a strong connection point for sharing authentically with one another. Traveling so far in the Yukon Flats, one of the major landscape points that stood out to me is definitely the river and how forceful it is and how it dictates everything around it. And the river is always changing, and so I love that dynamic element of it. The rest of my experiences, the physical aspects of it, of boating and doing that work, and hiking and sloshing through wetlands and all of that, it all becomes organically infused into the final artwork that I do. And so that's a little bit about the process and all of the pieces that then come together as I go back to my home in Los Angeles, and I'm still reeling with all of this Alaska information and experience, and then I put it all onto the final piece, which I often work on traditional topographic maps from like the 1950s, and so it gives it context. And then I draw on top of the maps, and I use ink and colored pencil for the final artworks. They're very detailed representations, and they include the portraits and also the landscape, and all of the elements start to kind of swirl together and connect with one another in this dance that I've experienced in those places. A strong intention for the work that I do in the world is to demonstrate and show people just how important these places are, and to hopefully inspire people in all different places to care about these pristine lands, and to ensure that they will be around for future generations.
You ready to go home?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Scammers pose as big-name companies. They call or send pop-up messages to scare you about the security of your computer.
We've gotten warnings of viruses in your area. Your computer has been affected. First, download this software so I can delete the dangerous programs.
They're good at pretending to be someone they're not, because they want something that isn't theirs, your money. No matter what they say, they haven't found anything wrong with your machine. They just want you to pay for software or tech support services you don't need. If someone pressures you, slow down and think it through. Don't give out your financial information, and don't let anyone take control of your computer. Report imposter scams to ftc.gov/imposters.